All right, so I'm just starting this interview process. So, um, number one question is who do I think is the most psychologically developed and doing the best, closest to self-actualization? And I would say for my circle, it's me. What that means is, so the reason why it's me is for several reasons. Number one, because I just don't know that many people who are very successful because of where I come from. So my own background contributes to the people who I have as a data set to even evaluate. But beyond that, it's because number one, I have pretty much obtained a lot of my goals, and I am doing the things that I feel that I was, created to do. Um, in terms of health, I can deal with my emotions well. I know how to redirect them. Like if I get angry, I'll go work out. Um, in terms of mental development, I constantly read and work to increase my knowledge. Spiritually, I study the scriptures, meditate, and get in tune with what I call my higher power. Familially, I'm stable. I've been in a place where I can, stabilize my mom and things of that nature. And physically, I eat well, I work out, and I take good care of myself. So those things all kind of contribute to why I think I'm the most psychologically healthy person. Okay, question number two. Question number two is, do I agree with Maslow that only 1% self-actualize? No, I don't. I think a little bit more do now. I think it's very short-sighted of anybody to think that his numbers and his data would be relevant today necessarily in that regard as far as statistically. We live in the age of information, so more people obviously have shared the information, the laws, and the principles that that help people self-actualize. As a matter of fact, hell, their industry of self-help gurus. Myself is, I wanting to be a person who tries to motivate and help them self-actualize. So those contribute to the increase in numbers. Um, yeah. And what holds them back? Oftentimes, a couple of things. Number one, one of the things that holds people back is the barriers. You can't matriculate through the pyramid if you're not, if you don't have your basic needs met. It's going to be hard for you to self-actualize. If you can't figure out where your next dollar is coming from, or where you got to stay, or what you got doing, and for a lot of people, that's the reality. So they don't self-actualize. But then there are people who just don't do the internal work. They don't work on themselves spiritually. They don't work on themselves emotionally. They don't work on themselves psychologically. They're lazy, and so they also don't self-actualize. But there's not one answer to say that here's why everyone doesn't self-actualize. Rather, there's an individual thing, an individual proclivity that holds all of us back, and so that's why we don't necessarily self-actualize. Okay. Number three, when you think back to your adolescence, what did you dream of becoming? Why did you choose to strive for that? I dreamed of becoming much like I am. I'm just going to get farther, but I am a person in the community who does reach out to people randomly and help them and try my best to serve and contribute. I do have some businesses. I am financially stable. I have done the work emotionally, internally, and I do eat well. So, this is exactly who I wanted to be. Why did I become this person? Because I like money and I love people. And so I wanted to do things that were going to allow me to do both of those on my own time. And I like freedom. So being an entrepreneur and all that stuff, helped me accomplish those goals. Now that you're older, have you become the ideal self that you hoped you would? Have you achieved your dreams? Please explain. Also, how did your dreams change as you got older? That's a loaded question. None of us is where we want to be. So in a certain regard, no, I'm never going to ever be where I want to be because I've always wanted to be greater. But in terms of dealing with the reality that I have, yes, I am very happy with what I have accomplished, even though I feel like I could have done more. And that's a very common thing. We all feel like we should be further, but creating that balance between having goals and not letting them consume you, and balancing that out with family, friends, love, and those things, it's important. So yeah, I have become the person that achieve some of my dreams, and becoming some of the person that I am. Um, as my dreams, as I get older, I it becomes more clear to me how I can accomplish more dreams. And as a community-minded person, what that looks like is you start to understand the problems on a little bit of a deeper level, and how you can immediately plug into them. In business, you have access to more resources, more contacts, and you can put together better projects, and make more money from doing so. So they didn't really change. My dreams didn't change. My ability to execute plays to get me closer did though. So that's that answer. 5. Have you ever had a peak experience? Describe it if you had. I've had several, so many of them that I can't really speak on. This weekend was one of them. Went to Myrtle Beach. Man, it's too long to tell. I'll just tell one story then. Towards the end of the trip, there was a janitor. I had bought some beer. We weren't going to use it. It was a full case of beer, Miller High Life. We weren't going to use it. It was time to go. You know, I have a thing for janitors in terms of just having an affinity towards them because my mother is a janitor. So I seen an old janitor after our morning run on the beach. And, you know, she's just a janitor, you know, sleeping up, and I'm just talking to her, just trying to get to know her, trying to connect with her, asking her name and treating her like a human, nothing that we all shouldn't be doing. And I almost left this beer in the refrigerator as we were getting ready to go. But I remembered to grab it. And when the elevator came to pick us up, the janitor was on the elevator. So I asked her, you know, we're done for the weekend. You know, is it possible that you could take these off my hand, please? And she could accept. And I was able to give her the beer. Now, for a person in my shoes, I know what that beer means. That beer is a form of self-medication for some of us. It means stress relief. It's something that when you're living a particular lifestyle, you just need it. A lot of people don't understand that. But I was able to give that to her. And that was a peak experience for me. So that's just one. We'll just go with that. Do you think that it is necessary or helpful to travel internationally or contact with different cultures in order to reach self-actualizations? In other words, do you think people have experienced life outside the United States gain a perspective that can't be gained by those who stay? Absolutely. So I have traveled internationally. Everyone needs to do it. Yes, you will get a different perspective on life in general, on American culture in particular. And no, you cannot self-actualize. Well, self-actualization is the process of development. It's not just the end goal. So yes, you can self-actualize for the amount of information that you have currently consumed. But as if you're truly self-actualizing, you're always consuming new information, re-evaluating and readjusting so that you can continue to be the person that you want to be. And so what that means is that yes, you can self-actualize here in the United States, but the moment you travel, your potential becomes greater. And so it is necessary to travel outside of the United States because they control the media and they control the narrative here, and they being the establishment, oftentimes white men, they control what we see, how we think, even the words that we say. You see, you're still learning about Maslow, right? This man died 100 years ago. You know how many better philosophers and better thought leaders there are than him? The information is old, out to date. It's been old and out to date. Not to say some of his principles don't hold, but he is not the most recent version of version of what we can do. And so yes, it's absolutely responsible. I mean, you absolutely have to travel in order to self-actualize. 7, are you easily able to laugh at yourself, or is it something that you find different? If so, I love to laugh at myself. I found laughter is one of the cleansers of the soul. You and I both know this because we've had experiences together where we've had to laugh through it. And I laughed through it, and it's cool. So yeah, I do find it easy to laugh at myself. And I think that's primarily because I'm comfortable with myself. I've already accepted the shortcomings that I have. I understand them. I know how to work around them. I know how to use them to my advantage, and I do so. So yes, I do laugh at myself. To what extent are you open to other people's ideas, opinions and ideas. Well, it depends on what the situation is. In terms of just listening to a person and how they feel and what they're going through, I'm very open. You know, everyone has a story. No one's feelings can be discounted or discredited. But on another level, as a leader of a business and of people in the community, some people don't know enough for their opinion to necessarily be valid or relevant. And because that is the case, and I know that's the case because I know these people personally and individually, and I'm hearing how they're talking, when it comes to deciding the direction of certain things, there's a certain method and approach that has to be taken at every phase of the game. So I'm very extremely open to people's opinions, how I process them and what I do with them is something that I do individually or only in the chambers of wise counsel. So that's that. All right, sis, I hope this interview helps you out well. I'm proud of you for being there, sister. Thanks for taking accountability, and bye. Love you. Go.